next on Fox Sports Saturday at the races.
That is our final stop here for Oaks qualifying. Motion Emotion. She is brilliantly quick, and today connections have made a rider switch to Hall of Famer Mike Smith.
Yeah, and you can't blame him if you get a chance to get Mike Smith. That's what his job is, these kind of horses. And I tell you, she went awfully quick early on last time, but she is naturally quick. The problem I had with it at the half-mile pull, she just opens up on the field, and there was really no reason for it at that point. And John obviously felt that he had a lot more horse probably, and she is naturally fast in that big long stride, but she opens up, and he's letting her roll right now. And at this point right here, I thought when she hit the quarter pole, she was going to hit a wall. Well, that wasn't the case. She found more, and she fought bitterly tough all the way to the finish. So look for him. Mike's going to let this filly run into the first turn, give her a chance, see what the pace is like. If they're going fast, there's a chance he'll take her back today.
Almost showed more in defeat is how fast she went, but when you can get a Mike Smith, you almost have to go with that option, right?
Well, you do. Listen, we all know what Mike can do. He's a Hall of Famer, like Gary was saying. When you look at this horse, Gary hit the nail on the head because the internal fractions for the race before, when she won by 6 lengths, she went 23 and 46. And Gary's right. John pushed the button too early. He went 45 in her last race, and it just made her pay late. You know, I don't know about her rating because there's some other horses here that are quick, but maybe she'll be able to rate. All these other horses might not be able to keep up with her either.
Fantasy, 100 points to the winner. We'll punch that ticket to the Kentucky Oaks Racing Festival of the South. Horses like Zenyatta, Curlin, Rachel, Alexandra, they have all competed at this event in the past. The Fantasy today, final stop of the road to the Kentucky Derby happens tomorrow. We will have that for you live in the Arkansas Derby and the Grade 1 Apple Blossom we have for you live on Sunday. Get signed up, started, play all these races that we show you each and every day with Naira Bets. New members earn a $200 bonus by entering the promo code LIVE at sign up and betting $200 in the first 2 weeks after registration. You can also download the Naira Bets app to get involved as well. Take a look at the weather at the couple of tracks we'll be covering this afternoon. In Hot Springs, Arkansas, at Oaklawn, beautiful day. It is sunny and 68 degrees. And in Ozone Park, New York, we'll be checking in with Maggie Wolfendale in just a little bit. At Aqueduct, it is cloudy and 59 degrees. Today's race schedule and track conditions are brought to you in part by WinStar Farm, the farm that pays you pack. Grade 3 Fantasy, of course, Oaks qualifier, our feature at Oaklawn. It is fast there. And at Aqueduct, we'll be on the turf for their 9th race. Turf course is firm in their nightcap coming up. Play the 50-50 promotion on the Naira Bets app today. You earn a $10 bonus regardless if you win or lose. To earn your bonus, bet $50 at Aqueduct and $50 at Oaklawn on the Naira Bets app, and you'll earn that $10 bonus. Go to nairabets.com for details. Time now to check in Hot Springs, Arkansas with Lafitte Pinkai and Andy Serling.
Yeah, Greg, it's gorgeous now. That figures to change over the next 24 hours with some weather coming in. Andy, we have so many great stories to follow in this Racing Festival of the South today, which 3-year-old fillies advance to the Kentucky Oaks. Tomorrow, the 3-year-olds advancing to the Kentucky Derby, and perhaps most significant, your first trip to Oaklawn Park. What do you think?
I got to tell you, it's not disappointing. And I disappoint easily, but it's really beautiful here. It's a great track, big crowd, terrific place. People are so into racing, as you said. It's fantastic weather. We're happy with the weather today. We'll deal with whatever happens over the weekend.
We'll have more on that later. And you must have felt so heartwarming when you first walked into the building, Andy, and you saw the statue of the horse you believe, the greatest racehorse of all time, Triple Crown winner, American Pharoah, right here at Oaklawn Park. That must have warmed the heart.
It was an emotional moment for me. It really was. Remembering
there it is.
Picking against him in all of his races,
like
except for the Travers. Yeah, I
saw you the night of the Travers. Yeah. You were inconsolable.
It was an upsetting day for me, I admit. Just seeing him, though, brought back just a gamut of emotions.
We'll have much more on the 3-year-old boys tomorrow. Today is all about the 3-year-old girls in the Fantasy Stakes. Grade 3 with a $500,000 purse. The guys touched on the favorite, Motion Emotion. But another key prep with its fingerprints all over this Fantasy Stakes, Andy, is the pusher at Aqueduct a few weeks ago.
I think all 3 horses coming out of even the long shot filly Joel have a chance today. Or more obviously ran well in finishing 3rd. She's going to have to overcome an outside post, but not as much as Oxy Lady. But Oxy Lady was very unlucky in this race. It was just one of those things. Javier Castellano was in the midst of giving her a fantastic ride, and the door just closed on her, as you can see in the stretch. Ora Moore coming over because the horse inside of her drifted out. She came back to finish second. She would have been the winner of that race with a clean trip, but that was at a mile at Aqueduct, where she's now run the 2 best races of her career. And while she ran okay around 2 turns out west, is she going to be good enough around 2 turns?
And a brutal post.
Yeah. It's a tough post to overcome. She's going to have to hope they go early. There's a fast pace, and the field separates, and she can save ground.
That's the fantasy a little bit later on, post time, in about 35 or so minutes. First things first. 7th race, maiden special weight conditions here. Fillies and mares 3 and up, sprinting 6 furlongs. Brad Cox, he has the number 1 filly, the first-time starter, Speed to Victory. He also has 2 fillies in the fantasy. Nancy Holthus with Brad earlier today.
Here with trainer Brad Cox, won last year's fantasy with Sassy Sienna. You've got 2 in this year with Cosmic Code and Irish Mischief, both very consistent and both making the stakes debut. What's the strategy?
Well, with Cosmic Code, it's going to be instructions are going to be to, break, relax. Hopefully, John Court can get her to shut off going into the first turn and relax and, pick them off at the end. She can be a little rank going into the first turn. Hopefully she will relax today. She's been here. She's settled in fine. And as far as the other filly, kind of the same thing with her. She could be a little forwardly placed, but she's training well, and hopefully with a good trip, they'll both be there.
But first we got to get through Speed to Victory. First-time starter. The rail position is not usually ideal. What do we tell Florent today?
Well, we'll ask her to run out of there. We've had this filly about a month. She came from Southern California. She's trained well. She's quick out of the gate. We'll ask her to run out of there. And, she may be a filly that'll stretch out with time, but right now that we feel like, we've taken her as far as we can of the morning's training her. So we'll give her an opportunity today. And, like you said, it's not ideal being in the 1 hole, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, best of luck, guys.
Quick out of the gate, says Cox about Speed to Victory. What a show her sire put on in the 2012 Arkansas Derby. Bodie Meister wiring the field en route to becoming a Kentucky Derby favorite and Kentucky Derby runner-up. Andy, Speed to Victory, your thoughts on this first-time starter this afternoon?
Well, it sounds like Brad obviously concerned about the rail, but he also mentioned he thinks that perhaps she'll want more distance. And considering she's a half-horse named Gettysburg, the some might remember being on the Triple Crown Trail for, I think, Todd Pletcher a number of years ago, probably does want more distance. A tough post in the rail, especially with the favorite, Shyla Baby, having speed and being right outside of her.
Florent Giroux to ride Brill later in the fantasy. How about Shyla Baby? Very quick and coming off of a heartbreaking defeat, Andy.
Yeah,
Couple of questions. Yeah, how much pressure does she face, and how does she respond to that taxing race a couple weeks ago?
Daher Rachel has speed on the outside, and if Speed to Victory has speed, she could be in that tough position between horses. So I'm hoping she takes some pressure, and my horse Drop Dead Gorgeous can maybe pick her up.
Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm really excited about her, and 6-1 is a tremendous price. Her trainer, Steve Hobby, 9 for 24, 380 ROI with maidens cutting back in distance.
That'll work. 6-1 at post time. Vic Stauffer with the call. It is post time for the 7th race at Oaklawn on the undercard of the fantasy.
Daher Rachel and Tipazar. They're at the post. That Tipazar not quite in yet. Now she's in. They're set. They're off. Daher Rachel and Shyla Baby, Speed to Victory and Boundless Joy. Then Drop Dead Gorgeous and Vivicitas with Tipazar, and the early trailer is Tracy's Greeley. Daher Rachel, Shyla Baby, and first-time starters Speed to Victory. These 3 up the backstretch. Daher Rachel a neck in front. Speed to Victory is second by the same margin to Shyla Baby, who's in a tight spot between horses. That's a tough spot for her. To the outside, Tipazar's on the move. Drop Dead Gorgeous had to check off heels, and Shyla Baby is shuffled back to 4th now. Then Vivicitas and Boundless Joy. Tracy's Greeley is the trailer, and Daher Rachel is the leader with Tipazar, who's just taken over 2nd. Daher Rachel at the top of the stretch, a 2-length lead on Tipazar. Drop Dead Gorgeous is next. Then Speed to Victory. Shyla Baby is all the way back in 5th and 6 lengths behind Daher Rachel, who is running a very big race. Daher Rachel is now 4.5 in front of Tipazar. Shyla Baby to the outside, and Drop Dead Dead Gorgeous, but Daher Rachel is just too good and has run them right off their feet. Daher Rachel now 6 in front from Tipazar. Daher Rachel. Daher Rachel won by 7.5. Tipazar was second, close for third between Shyla Baby and Speed to Victory.
7.5 length victory. Daher Rachel bombs away in the 7th at Oaklawn. 6-1 on the morning line, 21-1 at post time, Andy.
And she won like she should have been 1-5. I mean, this was an absolute joke. She flaunted her speed, used that outside post, but she cleared this field. And I don't know what to say. I don't see it in her PPs, but I saw it on the racetrack.
Makes it look all too easy. And this hasn't been a conveyor belt today, Andy. Winners have been coming from all over the racetrack.
Oh, totally agree. This horse wasn't carried along by the racetrack. No. She was carried along by her talent.
Ray Tracy, the winning trainer. Alex Berzer, 21-1 upset, guys. Daher Rachel all by herself in the 7th here at Oaklawn Park.
Big number here to start things off, and Daher Rachel moving turf to dirt. She proved she liked getting back on the dirt this afternoon.
You said the key right there. I was doing the handicapping last night, and she had her fastest speed figures were on the dirt. They tried her on the turf at Fairgrounds, got her back on what appears to be her favorite surface, and a very impressive winner. And she looks like she might go on, guys.
How about an Iowa bred? And her best race was out of company at Prairie Meadows, and she couldn't get the job done there in Iowa, but Arkansas, she found her home, and wow, I mean, like, didn't see this coming. When she cleared this field, though, you could see her ears were ready to go right at the top of the lane, and the race was over.
Yeah, she was giving the signal. Those ears were straightforward, and Alex was just sitting on her cruise, and when he pushed the button, she had the right answer.
7th time the charm for this 21-1 shot. Back with prices right after this, and then it is the Grade 3 Fantasy. That's still to come. It's the final stop for qualifying on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. Can Brill show that she belongs with a victory in the Grade 3 Fantasy? Our feature race coming up next on Fox Sports Saturday at the races from the Racing Festival of the South at Oaklawn.
So my name is Robbie Hertzel. I'm the yearly manager here at Claiborne Farm, and we've got the first crop of Run Happies this year. Overall, I'm very, very pleased with them. So we have a colt out of Queen of America. He's really nice, looks just like his dad. Very pleased with how he's coming along. So there was a lot of demand for the weanlings last year. They sold for over 6 times their stud fee, and we're really excited for the yearlings to come through the sales, and we're expecting big things from them.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
This successful son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast, a multiple Grade 1 winner and runner-up in the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. Flatter is adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record at stud. In the auction ring, Flatter topped the 2018 Phasing-Tipton July sale with a $520,000 yearling. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Claiborne Farm, 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Grade 3 Fantasy, our feature race, that is coming up next. First, let's wrap things up back in the 7th in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And it was Daher Rachel, 7th start, 4th track that she's competed on. Turns out to be the charm at 21-1.
Yeah, look at that, 45-60. And this filly, I can guarantee you one thing. They're going to have fun with her at Prairie Meadows during the summertime. Pots are huge there. The purse money is what I'm talking about for the Ohio bred, so be all right.
Grade 3 Fantasy with qualifying points on the line to get into the starting gates for the Kentucky Oaks. The first Friday in May, 100 points to the winner, 40-20-10 for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place finishers. Motion Emotion, 9-5 current favorite right now with a rider switch to Hall of Famer Mike Smith will have more on this coming up in just a moment. Right now we head back to New York and Aqueduct to check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. And less than idyllic conditions here for tonight's last race, but nonetheless, we are firm for this maiden 40 for the New York breds on the turf course, going the mile and a 16th. And short price on the 5-year-old maiden, Grand Banks. She will make her grand 25th start here, and I'm not in the business of taking short prices on these types, and neither is the public as of now, with number 5, Middle Out, being your 2-to-1 favorite, and I would have to side with them, as this filly only making her 3rd start and dropping in class off the layoff. She also only has one turf start. It was over a good course at Belmont, going the 7 furlongs, and she was staying on and making up some ground that day. And I think she looks incredibly fit and well conditioned for this return to the races, and for me at this distance makes a lot of sense. Next we'll move on to number 2, Handle with Care for Bruce Brown, another one that hasn't had that many tries on the turf, and her last start was a maiden 40 on the turf course, where she finished 4th, and I just think she has just taken a step forward from 3 to 4. She's much more mentally focused. She's filled out. She's gotten stronger behind the saddle, and she too looks ready to go off the bench. Number 9, kind of interesting with the 9 and 11 here. It's a Lovely Days Dam is actually the sister to 2 Graces, so interesting family pedigree there. But as far as turf pedigree goes, it's not one. It is much more of a productive dirt family. It's a Lovely Day. Does look great coming back here for Jason Service, but I don't think this is the right surface. Number 11, 2 Graces. She does have that Lemon Drop Kid influence. She looks pretty good here. She's kind of quiet, but I think of the 2 that kind of have that similar makeup between the 9 and 11, 2 Graces is the one you want switching to this turf course. Also, Greg, do have a serious headwind here at Aqueduct that the horses are running into down the lane.
Maggie, thank you for that as they get set to load up here for the nightcap in New York. This is the final leg of the Naira Betts late pick 5. So let's take a look at how it has played out to this point. Had a $34 winner to kick things off. A couple of double-digit winners there in legs 2 and 3. So this is going to pay nice, 40,000 plus in that pool. We will see what happens here in this final leg coming up. Kendrick Carmouche on the 2, Gary. Handle with Care. We know he's an aggressive rider. This filly has shown some speed. There's not a ton of speed in this race.
No, there's not. And this one, getting back on the turf, where 2 races back, that was at Saratoga last summer. It was only beaten 3.5 lengths, and that was maiden 40, back in for the maiden 40 today off the long layoff. Actually, the last race was October 13th, and that was off the turf and beaten 43 lengths. So throw that race out. And look forward to seeing this one back on the turf. The horse I like in here a little bit is the 9 horse. It's a Lovely Day.
By the way, I know there's a lot of horses that are 40, 50 to 1 in here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 horses that are carrying over. So if a bomb crosses the line first, there's a carryover in this pick 5.
5 horse steps in. That is the favorite. Middle Out, 3-year-old filly by Freud. That is the one to beat. Manny Franco for Jorge Abreu. Nightcap from Aqueduct. Larry Colmus with the call. You're watching Fox Sports Saturday at the Races on a Friday afternoon.
And it's Big Expense who comes out well. To the inside, it's Middle Out and Sweet Breeze along the rail. So these 3 with the most early foot. And behind them is Grand Banks, who's running in 4th position early on. And they're followed by Handle with Care. It's a Lovely Day to the outside. Break of another 2 to Sarah's Rainbow. Farther out, Star Sweep. Lowest lane between those 2, and 2 Graces is trailing the field early on, making their way into that first turn. And the leader is Sweet Breeze. On top through a 24.62 quarter. The leader by a length over Middle Out in second. Grand Banks rides the rail 3rd to the backstretch. Big Expense is 4th on the outside, 4 lengths from the front. And then it's Handle with Care. It's a Lovely Day. Outside of them, Sarah's Rainbow. Another 3 lengths more to 2 Graces. Star Sweep on the outside, and lowest lane is last of them all. So they continue the run up the backstretch. And it is Sweet Breeze on the inside, alongside of Middle Out. Grand Banks drafting in behind them through a 49.91 half mile. Big Expense 4th outside of horses, 3.5 lengths to make up. And then it's Handle with Care. It's a Lovely Day to the outside, followed by 2 Graces and Star Sweep. Around the far turn they go. This 99-1 long shot. Sweet Breeze continues to lead. Middle out's getting closer. Grand Banks needs a place to go. Bottled up in traffic here. Big Expenses there on the outside. Now Grand Banks has plenty of room as the seam opens and Grand Banks comes on through to take the lead. And for the back of the pack, Handle with Care is finishing well on the inside. Middle out is right there, but it is Grand Banks. Grand Banks bursts through at the top of the stretch and pulls away as they come down to the wire. Junior Alvarado and Grand Banks to beat Handle with Care. From the back, Two Graces got third and Middle Out was fourth.
Like we always say, you need to get that foundation, those first 24 starts under your belt. 25th time you break through. Grand Banks at 3-1.
5-year-old mare, and obviously getting back on the turf today was key, and she got a perfect trip under Junior Alvarado. A little bit unlucky with Handle with Care. Got shuffled back at the start. She was ranked under Kendrick Carmouche, and actually finished up pretty well for as rank as she was going into the first turn, but Grand Banks gets it done. Congratulations, 25th lifetime start.
Yeah, she was lukewarm on the board because of that. I mean, how can you play a horse that's 0 for 24 and 0 for 15 on the turf? But her form was very, very good and can obviously compete with these. And you're right, she just got the trip today.
Yeah,
you know?
She was in the money 10 out of those 24 starts on the turf. So she did figure. We just didn't see it.
99-1 shot was on the lead, gave a brief thrill in the end. 4-11 finish. It's Grand Banks with the victory. Coming up next, Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. He gets the call on Motion Emotion for trainer Tom Van Berg in the Grade 3 Fantasy. We'll have this Oaks qualifier coming up next.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
The Kentucky Derby is a race that we all want to capture. But what he did in the Florida Derby, that got me green.
But inside the 16th pole, the 2017 Florida Derby to Todd Pletcher, and always dreaming they won it by 4 in the end.
Anytime you ever would go to see him in his breezes or in his races, you knew that he was the real deal. You really would get excited about what he was going to do for the future. I'm Jacob West, and this season, I'm always dreaming.
So my name is Robbie Herzl. I'm the yearly manager here at Claiborne Farm, and we've got the first crop of Run Happies this year. Overall, I'm very, very pleased with them. So first we have a colt out of Rapid Repair. He's a really nice colt. Very happy with how he's come along as a yearling. So there was a lot of demand for the weanlings last year. They sold for over 6 times their stud fee, and we're really excited for the yearlings to come through the sales, and we're expecting big things from them.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Rachel Alexandra, one of the greatest fillies ever to race at Oakland, is giving us a spectacular performance in the fantasy as she draws clear by 7 lengths. Rachel Alexandra, a great filly, winning the fantasy by 8 lengths.
Oh, a tour de force. Eva Morales is moving up on her. She's going to destroy this field. Oh, super filly, you bet. What's the final margin? She might have won by 20.
Well, back in 2009, Calvin Burrell, I think he spent more time looking backwards and forwards in the fantasy on Rachel Alexandra. Of course, would win the Oaks by 20 1/4 lengths and go on to beat males in the Haskell and older males in the Woodward.
Yeah, and I forgot how, with what ease she won the Kentucky Oaks with, and she actually was just in a high gallop, and what she did later on in the year, winning the Haskell and against older horses in the Whitney, she was a phenomenal filly.
Yeah, listen, my heart lands in Zenyatta when we come to this argument. Everybody wants to go with the argument with Rachel Alexandra and Zenyatta. But for that short span, I don't think I've ever seen a filly that good. Greg, I don't know if you remember, you and I witnessed her win the Woodward at Saratoga, and you sent me that picture, and it's hanging on my wall, and it'll always hang on my wall because she was that brilliant.
My first ever trip to Saratoga, pretty good way to
that's a good welcome.
Yeah, make a debut at a racetrack as historic as the Spa as well. Let's take a look at the Kentucky Oaks leaderboard right now. It is Bellafina, and it seems like everybody else. Can anyone pose a threat to her?
I'd be scared. I mean, Bellafina, she looks like she's on a complete different scope than the rest of the fillies. But we've still got this race to go, and anything can happen. There's a huge performance today, and anything, don't forget that Bellafina was beaten at Churchill Downs as a heavy favorite in the Breeders' Cup last fall.
One of her 2 losses on her resume.
That's the thing, I think, where people are like a little skeptical, and the other part is the distance, where I think that's a little bit, it shouldn't be till nobody's gone the distance. I think she's going to be able to handle it. The 2 losses at Churchill Downs could be a little bit of a worry.
Well, you saw Emotion on that list. She needs some points to get in here. She is the morning line favorite. She will break from post 8, 8-5 with the rider switch to the Hall of Famer Mike Smith, trying to get her first ever stakes victory here in the Grade 3 Fantasy. Our own Nancy Holthus, a little bit earlier, caught up with Mike Smith.
Mike Smith rides Emotion in today's feature, the Fantasy. Now, this is the first time you're on her. Have you had a chance to talk to Tom Van Berg about the potential game plan?
A little on the phone. I'll talk to him in the paddock and get a better idea. But I've watched all of her replays. I think if I can just get her to get into a nice, comfortable rhythm, maybe a little bit slower the first part, it should work. I'm certainly hoping so.
Now, I know a big day tomorrow, Omaha Beach in the Arkansas Derby. Looks like he's filled out maybe even a little bit more going into the final prep towards the Kentucky Derby.
You're exactly right. He really has. He's taken a big step forward off that race. If he runs like he's been training and gets the opportunity to do so, we could see something pretty special.
Now, I know it's a short field, but a very competitive one in the Apple Blossom, and I know that particular race has a lot of special meaning to you.
Been very blessed in that race to have won it several different times with some great horses, and this filly belongs up there with them kind. She's really doing well, has gotten better since last year. Elate's back in there. She's had her race over the racetrack now. She's going to be double tough, so it's going to be a very exciting race.
Well, it's going to be an exciting race, and I'm thinking you're probably going to have a big weekend yourself.
He could have a tough decision to make come Derby time. Of course, Omaha Beach and Roadster. See if he has to make that decision. But right now, it is all about motion. Emotion trainer Tom Van Berg says this filly is ready. It's all systems go. Everything else, we want a good trip, break well, but it's in Mike's hands.
Yeah, it is in Mike's hands, and this is what he's so good at. And I spoke to the racing manager, Mike Pewich, yesterday. They were on their en route to Oaklawn Park, and I said, what are you going to tell Mikey? And he says, I'm not going to tell him anything. He's in the Hall of Fame, and that's why we asked for him. But I think what Mike's emotions were right there says it all, that he's going to come away from there. It's going to know early on, get into the first turn. He'll know if that pace is too fast of what he's doing. If he gets the opportunity to slow it down, then that's what he'll do. And if they let him slow it down, if he is on the lead, then shame on the rest of this field. I think another filly that's interesting in here is Brill. Jerry Hollendorfer brought her in, had one prep race going 6 furlongs. You can see, looking at her PPs, he had one thing in his mind, and that was to get her away from Bellafina on the West Coast.
Yeah, and listen, what Gary's saying is what Gary's probably was the best at. And Mike is pretty good. I still think Gary was the best, and it's not because he's sitting here. What he's going to do is he's going to break motion to motion away from that gate as fast as you can be. And he's going to make all those other horses go faster. And then Mike's going to decide, you know what? Now I'm going to spread this field out, and I can have my fillies sit, not in a crowd of horses, because then now the race gets sort of spread out a little bit. And I think that's what he's probably thinking in the back of his head when he was sleeping last night, thinking this race over. Let me let all these horses go really fast early, because I know I'm fast. Then I'm going to back my horse up, and let's see what happens.
I like your way of thinking, Paulie.
All eyes will be on Mike Smith and Motion Emotion and what she does early on in this race. She's the current 3-2 favorite. Let's send it out to Hot Springs, Arkansas with Lafitte and Andy.
That is the question, Greg, how aggressive Mike Smith will be with Motion Emotion. Andy, all right, so you look at this field. There's no Rachel Alexandra. There's no Blind Luck. But maybe this is the year that's okay, considering how wide open the 3-year-old division is. Bellafina at the top, but how good is she, and how much separation is there between her and the other best 3-year-old fillies in the country?
Well, that's really a great question, because Bellafina is a good horse. She's a good horse. That's it. And I don't want to knock her. She's certainly beating up on horses that are inferior to her, but she's not a big mountain to climb, as you suggested. So it is really wide open behind her. And Motion to Motion is a very dangerous horse because she's got speed and she's got stamina. And I wouldn't say there's any killers on paper in this field, but there are potentially talented horses. And I think that it's very open to defeating Bellafina in the Kentucky Oaks.
And there's in Motion to Motion. As you look at Lady Apple here, Andy, Steve Asmussen has her going very well. She's won 2 straight here at Oaklawn Park. How does Lady Apple come away a fantasy winner?
Yeah, you know, she's got the right preps, right? He ran her in the sprint, then he stretched her out, and she won comfortably. And she is a horse that's shown that she can sit behind horses. Now, not necessarily going long, right? She may be the kind of sprinter type that needs to be controlling towards the front. And she was involved in the moderate pace last time. It's not going to happen with Motion to Motion in all likelihood today.
Steve Asmussen, 4 colts in tomorrow's Arkansas Derby, including long-range Toddy, the upset winner of the Rebel Stakes. How about Filly Joel coming in? We mentioned 3 fillies exiting a key prep race at Aqueduct, the Busher.
Yeah, she did not run well in the Busher. I do like the rider switch to David Cohen. It's an odd switch for the connections to go to a trainer I'm just not familiar with from the high percentage Rudy Rodriguez in New York. But make no mistake, this is a talented filly, and she's making her 3rd start of the year, and she's a huge price in here. And David Cohen's going to be thinking, I got a good post. I can just try to sit behind a couple of horses, sit 3rd or 4th, and hope I get lucky. And I don't think it's impossible.
Riders up. David Cohen having a big Oaklawn meet. Here is Filly Joel. This is 2 starts back when she finishes 2nd in the Busanda to Always Shopping. All of a sudden, this effort looks that much better considering what Always Shopping did last weekend in the Gazelle.
Exactly. Always Shopping, of course, won the Gazelle last week. And Always Shopping had a perfect trip riding a gold rail and angling out into the stretch. You can say Filly Joel rode the rail as well, but she had to move 5 wide around the first turn and didn't get to the inside of the backstretch. She fought very hard for the lead that day. That was some performance coming off a 2-month layoff.
Filly Joel 30-1, gearing up for the post parade for this Grade 3 Fantasy Stakes. The post parade brought to you by OCD Pellets, celebrating over 10 years of supporting the equine industry with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. Approximately 9 minutes out. So if you were in that paddock, you're with Mike Smith, you're giving instructions on Motion to Motion, what would Andy Serling's approach be?
My approach would be one of the few times that I would defer. And that's a hard thing for me to do in any situation, because what I think makes Mike Smith as great a rider as he is, he does not get in his horse's way.
I'm with you.
He lets a horse use its talents as best suits it, and that's what he's going to do with the Motion to Motion.
Results in Aqueduct. It was Chris McCarron who once said the primary objective for any jockey in any horse race is to provide the least amount of hindrance for that particular racehorse.
Well, the best jockeys aren't judged by races they win that they shouldn't have. It's by races they don't lose that they're supposed to win.
Mike Smith aboard Motion Emotion. Tomorrow, a date with Omaha Beach, as Greg mentioned. When it's all said and done, Smith could have a very difficult decision to make, having won the Santa Anita Derby with Roadster last Saturday. Omaha Beach tomorrow for Richard Mandela in the Arkansas Derby. Of course, all eyes on Improbable, drawn inside 8-5 on the morning line. For those who perform well and garner the points, they go on to the Kentucky Derby. Here, final point-providing prep for the Kentucky Oaks, the most prestigious race for 3-year-old fillies in North America, the first Friday in May. 100 points to the winner of this Fantasy Stakes, 40 to the runner-up, Motion to Motion. Hard Luck, second-place finisher in the Honeybee, continues to reign as a heavy favorite. 7-5. We had the 1 scratch, so a field of 11 running 1 mile and a 16th, and we're all set for that post parade. We'll start with number 1, Cosmic Code, who is trained by Brad Cox, who, of course, campaigned Monomoy Girl, last year's Kentucky Oaks winner.
An inexcusable loss, the short price last time, but they can just stay on the rail and hope they get the right trip.
There is Cosmic Code to be ridden by John Court. Court off Motion to Motion, now on Cosmic Code. Filly Joel, again, first of 3, exiting the Busher.
My long shot Bomb. She's a bit of a bomb who has to bounce back, but she's run well enough in some races to have a chance.
Irish Mischief, Stuart Elliott of Smarty Jones fame aboard.
Another horse who has speed. She is a short price in all of her previous races.
Lady Apple, perfect in 2 starts this year at Oaklawn.
Can she rate and win going long?
That's the question. Number 5, currently 69-1, Destiny over Fate. First of, well, the only filly now owned by Ron Paolucci, trained by Jesus Cruz.
Well, Ron Paolucci, if he's under 60-1, he's a short price.
There she is, Destiny over Fate. That big number, 69-1. Number 6, Super Tap, claimed for $50,000 at Gulfstream last month. Here she is in the fantasy.
Yeah, she's more overmatched than I am.
For that reason, 66-1. Number 7, Kiffle is out. Number 8, the favorite, Motion Emotion, runner-up in the Honeybee. Triple Crown winning jockey Mike Smith takes over.
I love this filly. I love a filly that can flaunt her speed the way she does, and she is just way the horse to beat and one of the best 3-year-old fillies in the country.
7-5, Motion Emotion. Brill, California Invader for Team Instagram, owned by Larry Best, trained by Jerry Hollendorfer.
The big question with her is, can she be effective going long? Because her best race has been sprinting.
Same question with Instagram last weekend going into the Santa Anita Derby. Aura Moore, a defeated Busher favorite with some trouble.
Yeah, listen, best thing she has going for her is Todd Pletcher and Luis Saez, who's having a huge year.
KP Slickum, second to Chasing yesterday in the Sunland Park Oaks.
Yeah, not sure how she stacks up against this field.
30-1, Oxy Lady, Calumet Homebred, marooned outside post 11.
She's going to have to save some ground in the first turn, and she's going to have to be effective around 2 turns.
All right, guys, so a field of 11 running a mile and a 16th. The final point-providing prep for the Kentucky Oaks, the fantasy, in just a few moments.
Lafitte, thanks. It's going to be a great rendition of this race. So 7-5 on Motion Emotion, and part of the reason for the jockey switch here going to Mike Smith, John Court just went so fast on that Honeybee. She's so naturally quick. She has a high cruising speed. Can you get caught a little bit? Is that difficult as a jockey when you're on a horse like that?
Sometimes it can be, especially in certain situations where they'll fool you how fast they're going because their cruising speed can be so high. And they may be doing a little bit more than what you suspect. But in saying that, if you've ridden them and you know how fast they are, Mike's done his homework. I guarantee you he's watched our replays over and over. He knows the stride he's going to get a feel for right now, and they can tell you a lot in the pre-race warm-up. Right now, how they're acting, she was prancing a little bit. Guarantee you he's trying to keep her quiet right now. He'll light her up just a little bit right before he gets to the starting gate. He'll let her bounce away from there, and there's a few tricks you can do early on in a race, and that's sitting low in the saddle, keeping your hands back but moving your elbows a little bit. The guy's back behind you. They think you're riding. You're just sitting.
6-5 on Motion Emotion right now from post 8 on the outside. Oxy Lady for trainer Jack Sisterson. Let's go to Nancy Holthus for more.
Much, Greg. Watching with Jack Sisterson, watching her warm up. Now, she does draw the far outside post. Probably not the ideal scenario, but what's the plan from the bell?
That's just a number to us. We're going there thinking wild sides, going in there negative thinking. So I spoke to Declan last time. He's going to break out there running. He's going to keep an eye on the inside and just see where the rest of on paper there's a lot of speed, but you sort of worry sometimes where jockeys sort of get hesitant.
Yeah, no, I'm so
We'll break running and Declan will try to save ground anyway.
All right, thanks so much. Lafitte, back to you.
Minister Post.
All right, Nancy, thanks so much, Nancy. Oxy Lady. So here's the story in terms of trip, Andy. We watched Improbable get beat in the first division of the Rebel Stakes by losing ground on the first turn going a mile and a 16th here at Oaklawn. He was in post 6. So what kind of trip can Oxy Lady, what kind of trip can they possibly work out going a mile and a 16th here at Oaklawn Park from the 11 hole?
I've always had one of those theories that if you have a post like that, especially with a closer, you're better off getting left because you could actually sort of negotiate getting over the inside easily. Not that you can get a rider. It's not an easy thing to do, but I think you just have to sort of drop your hands and hope the field gets away from you and it spreads out enough in the first turn that you can get the 2 path, and you have to just hope for the best.
Only graded stakes winner in the field, Oxy Lady, having won the Tempted last winter at Aqueduct. Another look at Motion Emotion. All right, so what do you think does happen if the early fractions are really hot, if the tempo is too fast, and Smith decides to try and take Motion Emotion back? How do you think she responds?
I think she'll run poorly. I know the connections have been confident that she could rate, but we've heard this a lot in the past. I think my horse can rate, but until they do it, I don't believe it. And her speed is her weapon. And I have to imagine Mike is thinking that. But listen, maybe she doesn't break that sharply. And if you don't break sharply in a race like this with this many other speeds, you're in big, big trouble. And you risk the horse running off from you. So the break will be very important here. But I'll tell you what, I think if motion to motion rates, she's going to do poorly in this race.
Gearing up for the Grade 3 Fantasy. Perfect time if you want to get involved. New Naira Bets account signups are eligible to receive a $200 bet and get bonus. Join Naira Bets members can earn a $200 bonus. New members sign up bonus and a promo code live. It sign up, bet 200, get 200 to bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app. Another look at number 9, Andy Brill. So yeah, she breaks her maiden last summer at Del Mar, and she was being regarded as one of the best 2-year-old fillies in California, maybe one of the best 2-year-old fillies in the country, but she hasn't won since. Where are we with Brill?
I think we're asking ourselves, is she a router or is she a sprinter? And I think that's what connections are trying to find out. And Jerry Hollendorf not afraid to ship. Maybe she comes to Saratoga for a race like the 7-furlong test or the 6-furlong Prioress, because we've seen a lot of California horses come there and be successful. You want to try to go long because the money and the prestige are in the route races. But right now, her 2 sprints stick out like a sore thumb.
Let's go down to Nancy.
Thanks, guys. Definitely motion emotion would spark just that. Trainer Tom Vanberg does send this 3-year-old filly out. His dad, the late Hall of Fame trainer Jack Vanberg, saddled 2 winners in this running. So a victory here would definitely be such a victory for the entire family. Guys?
All right, Nancy. Is it 35 years ago, Andy? Jack Vanberg, gate dancer, won the Arkansas Derby here, went on to run second from post position number 20 in the Kentucky Derby.
He was a pretty cool horse. I mean, so well remembered for those weird blinkers that he wore and those terrific performances.
The earmuffs.
Right.
Vanberg was more shrink/psychiatrist than he was trainer with gate dancer.
It was a crazy horse. I'll never understand how he lost the first Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah, that makes 2 of us guess who was in the saddle. Another look at motion emotion with Mike Smith trying to earn that spot into the Kentucky Oaks. 7-5 feel about right to you?
I think it does. She's way the horse to beat. And I'm going to say that if she's successful in here, then I got to think she could very well be the second choice in the Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, the distinction for second choice still, that spot's available. Again, Bella Fina and everyone else at this stage. So a real opportunity for these 3-year-old fillies in the fantasy.
Well, I'll say a big performance by anybody else in here could make them second choice. And I mean, a long shot's sort of tough to make them second choice, but there's some talent in this field, and very interested to see who emerges from this race victorious.
Filing into the gate, Super Tap at a huge price steps forward with Orlando Mojica aboard. The Triple Crown winning jockey Mike Smith taking over on motion emotion. There she is, the 6-5 fantasy favorite. Final thoughts, Andy?
I'm looking forward to the race, and I really think they're going to be moving up front because even if motion something happens, there's enough speed.
Everybody on the edge of their seat waiting to see what Mike Smith does with motion emotion as we turn things over to Vic Stauffer for the live call of the 47th running of the Grade 3 Fantasy live from Oaklawn.
Oxy Lady to the outside. They're at the post. They're off. Motion Emotion broke well, so did Brill. The 2 favorites are 1-2 early. Oxy Lady, Oramore, and Lady Apple are next. Then Cosmic Coat, followed by Super Tap, Irish Mischief, and KP Slickum. Next, it's Philly Joel, and the early trailer is Destiny Over Fate. Motion Emotion and Mike Smith to the backstretch. She will make the lead, and she does it fairly easily from Brill in second. Motion Emotion, a length and a quarter. Brill is second by 2.5 lengths to Lady Apple and Aura Moore together third and fourth. Then comes Oxy Lady. She's midfield with about 5 lengths to make up. Irish Mischief is just inside of her. Stablemate Cosmic Code is 6 from the front. Then she's 2 in front of Philly Joel. Then comes Super Tap and Destiny Over Fate, and then it's 4 back 2. KP Slickum, there's a half-mile left to run. In the 47th Fantasy, Motion Emotion and Brill. They've been 1-2 since they sprung the latch, and here is Brill outside of Motion Emotion. Motion Emotion only leads by a neck. Brill is alongside in second, and they set the stage for a good stretch battle. Several others with chances, including Irish Mischief, Oxy Lady, and Lady Apple. 5 of them separate themselves at the top of the stretch. It is still Motion Emotion and Brill. Now Oxy Lady comes with a solid run, and so does Aura Moore, and Motion Emotion is still in front from Brill. Oxy Lady and Aura Moore, but Motion Emotion, Lady Apple trying to come up the inside. It's tight, but she's trying to get through. Lady Apple, Motion Emotion and Brill. Lady Apple puts her head in front. Motion Emotion, Lady Apple wins the Fantasy. Lady Apple beat Motion Emotion by a length. Brill was third, maybe Oramore for fourth.
Steve Asmussen has her going real well. Lady Apple, 3 wins at Oaklawn Park this year. She closes at 9-1, pulling off the upset, running down Motion Emotion in the Fantasy. Next stop, Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Oaks.
What a thrilling race this was. It's a tremendous ride by Ricardo Santana.
Brilliant.
Coming up the inside, making all the difference, because you don't want to take anything away from Lady Apple, who's a very nice filly, but Motion Emotion and Brill, they really did all the dirty work in here and never gave an inch.
Look at the guts, the determination on Motion Emotion, feeling the presence from Brill on the outside, Lady Apple to her inside in the end. Just too much Lady Apple. And for Steve Asmussen, just another day at the office, Andy Serling.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like he watched the race, to be honest with you. Maybe he didn't know he came through on the inside to win. That was just a thrilling race and a hard luck loser. But Lady Apple, onwards and upwards.
By the former Horse of the Year, Greg Wolf, Curlin, Lady Apple in the 47th Fantasy Stakes.
Yeah, and Curlin, of course, a horse who has competed at the Racing Festival of the South back in his day. Lady Apple, she certainly likes it at Oaklawn. 3 for 3 now.
Yeah, and she liked a new tactic today, and that was raiding. She's been either on or just off of the lead, sprinting, and stretched out for the last time out, and won. Was going head-and-head in that race. Well, she raided today, came from well off the pace, got a perfect setup and a perfect ride from Ricardo Santana, squeezes through a tight hole there, and believe me, that hole he comes through on the inside is a lot tighter than what it looks like on TV. Mike Smith not giving an inch, but burrows her way through there. And I don't think Motion Emotion lost anything in defeat here.
No, not at all. Like Andy said, Brill was on her most of the way. You know, when they were starting around the far turn, Oxy Lady, Irish Mischief, and Lady Apple, they were all moving together at the same time, and then Lady Apple just sort of separated herself as the other two just sort of went away. And Ricardo, I mean, he really did scrape the pine, and he tells everybody, yeah, I gave that horse a good ride, acknowledge it.
And what about the trip that Brill got there? She ran hard. I don't blame Florent Drew for putting the pressure on the one to beat, but it was all your winner, Lady Apple.
Ricardo Santana Jr., we're going to see him tomorrow in the Count Fleet on Matoli. We'll be right back. Lady Apple on the Fantasy.
Warfront has sired 8 champions and 10 millionaires. Recent Grade 1 winners include Homesman, Fog of War, Lancaster Bomber, and European champion U.S. Navy Flag, plus 2019 Kentucky Derby hopeful War of Will. He's also sire of the highest price yearling sold in North America in 2018, and international super sire on all surfaces and all fronts. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
We are back on this special edition of Fox Sports. We're back on this special edition of Fox Sports Saturday at the Races. It's brought to you in part by champion sprinter Run Happy. Never lost in his career while sprinting. A perfect 7 for 7. Three-time Grade 1 winning millionaire. Now standing in legendary stall number 1 at Claiborne Farm. Lady Apple, she loves it at Oaklawn. Perfect 3 for 3 now at this track. Undefeated in her 3-year-old campaign. And it is on to the first Friday in May at Churchill Downs.
And guys, she's really been untested until today, and she runs against a filly that we figured could go in as second favorite if she won today, and that being Emotion. This filly might be going as second favorite.
Yeah, I'm with you, and the thing is, she could be scary. She is a different filly around 2 turns. Sometimes when horses win their comeback race on slop, they don't really get a lot of fitness. She came right out of that race to win a mile and a 16th, and she grinded away Irish Mischief, and now she goes on and wins a Grade 3, beating a very good filly. So congratulations to Ricardo Santana and the Asmussen crew.
And all 3 of these fillies with enough points now to move on to the Kentucky Oaks. Let's go to Nancy Holthus.
All right, Steve, a 9-1 upset in the fantasy today. Ricardo Santana and the Irons, no points going in towards the Kentucky Oaks, but she didn't need them. Set off some nice fractions. Rail skimming ride. Huge effort for this filly.
Oh, very proud of her. Lovely filly. Congratulations, Phoenix Thoroughbreds. Purchased her. Katie Rich, lovely filly. Ricardo gave her a dream trip today, and what heart she showed to beat quality fillies and to win the fantasy.
Well, it looks like you've got plans for the first Friday in May. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Guys?
All right, Nancy, yeah, I have to feel great for the Phoenix Thoroughbreds. That was a brutal beat they suffered in Dubai with Gronkowski in the Dubai World Cup to Thunder Snow. But now headed to the Kentucky Oaks, Lady Apple. Andy, based on this victory, the fact that she's won 3 straight, how do you think she factors in? How does she figure into the 3-year-old filly Kentucky Oaks picture?
Well, she probably has to get faster, and she's coming off an absolutely perfect trip win, so it won't be easy. But what race like the Kentucky Oaks should be easy? And she's going to have to improve to beat Bellafina. But she showed that she can rate, which is a big feather in her cap. But is she going to get that kind of setup next time? Yeah,
if the Kentucky Oaks were tomorrow, Bellafina feels, I don't know, 6-5, 7-5, somewhere in there. There she is. Dominant last weekend in the Grade 1 Santa Anita Oaks, stamping herself as the filly to beat.
And she is the filly to beat. I'm not her biggest fan, but I would not be so foolish to suggest she's not the worst to beat. She's simply running fast in these horses. She may not be running the kind of races that Rachel Alexandra ran, but that doesn't mean she's not better than her competition, and she has the ability to rate. She can really do whatever she wants, but how concerned are you that she did not run well at Churchill Downs in the Breeders' Cup last year?
Yeah, in terms of a surface preference, certainly that'll be a conversation topic going into the Kentucky Oaks. The runner-up in Emotion. Do you continue with her, considering she's going to have to run that much farther in the Kentucky Oaks at a mile and an 1/8?
I do. I love this filly, and I don't think distance is a problem. She wasn't falling apart in this race. She lost a horse that got an absolute dream setup. What happens in the Oaks if everybody's afraid of her speed at a mile and 1/8 and they think...
Catherine Sophia comes to mind.
Yeah, she won't get the distance, and suddenly she goes 24 and 48, and she's 3 in front turning for home. I would not be deterred, and if it doesn't work out, you can always turn her back into other races going forward.
Real quick, Brill?
Brill is the 8 bells, going 7 furlongs.
As we send it back to the studio, Greg, we are just getting started with our coverage for the Racing Festival of the South here at Oaklawn Park. Tomorrow, the Arkansas Derby, and I promise you, it's not going to be as beautiful. It's not going to be as dry. Heavy rain expected tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, weather may be an issue. We'll see how that changes things with our contenders. Of course, improbable for Bob Baffert, trying to exact a little revenge after his stablemate game winner got beat by Omaha Beach, who he'll face tomorrow.
The guys were talking about the ground that he lost in the previous race, and he's not going to lose any ground tomorrow. He goes from the outside to the inside. He's tactical, should show some good speed, put himself in a good spot. And then we've got Long Range Toddy. He's tactical as well. So John Court getting his chance to get to the Kentucky Derby on a legit live horse in Long Range Toddy.
Yeah, and Richard Mandela and Mike Smith, I don't think they would be too upset if it was wet, because Omaha Beach skipped over some wet surface here at Santa Anita.
That is coming up tomorrow in the Grade 3 Fantasy. Lady Apple punched her ticket to the Kentucky Oaks for trainer Steve Asmussen with Ricardo Santana Jr. We will see you tomorrow at 5 Eastern with the Arkansas Derby.
As a commercial breeder, we're always looking for the next big thing in the stallion ranks. Always Dreaming's Florida Derby was one of the greatest performances of that race's history. In the final time, being faster than some very significant horses that have won that race, Empire Maker, Quality Road, Scat Daddy, and to follow up that performance and win the Kentucky Derby like he did, showcase himself as one of the elite athletes of his generation. I made Namara at Stonehaven Steadings, and this season, we're always dreaming.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Individuals like her, they're hard to find. When you find them, you do your best to try and get them. Really quality filly, beautifully made and moved really well, and we're very happy to get her. She was one of our key horses today to try and get. We thought she'd come in south of 200, but like everything else, when you're chasing the ones you really wanted, it's always costing a little bit more. So we have to stretch for her, but we're happy to have her.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.